Good morning, children. Today is lesson 9.1. We will be going over 9.1. Now, children, if you know me, I'm a very lazy person. Maybe you don't. Maybe you do. This is probably like my 8th retake. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna let this all go, to good old Teacher Cat. Go ahead and say hi, Teacher Cat.
Hello, children. I am Teacher.
Anywho, as I was saying, you children are going to be learning from Teacher Cat. You best say hi back later, maybe after. Say hello after the video. I don't care. But I hope you enjoy. Take it away, Teacher Cat. You got that.
Hello, children. We shall dive straight into the lesson. Ronald Reagan, a former actor and California governor, entered the presidency with a message that strongly appealed to many Americans. He often invoked nostalgia for the good old days and delivered patriotic, well-crafted speeches that promoted a conservative vision for the country. At the heart of his message was the idea that government had grown too large and was doing more harm than good. In one of his most memorable lines, Reagan declared, "In the present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem." Ronald Reagan was, as the youngsters would say it, just chill like that. Following in the footsteps of earlier Republican leaders like Eisenhower and Nixon, Reagan supported what was known as New Federalism, a push to return power and responsibility to the states. A significant part of Reagan's support came from what became known as the Reagan Coalition. This group included a relatively small but very powerful segment of wealthy Americans who were committed to capitalism with minimal restrictions. They believed the free market was the best solution to most problems and opposed government regulations, especially those they viewed as anti-business. Reagan's policies ultimately aligned with and served this group. Alright, children, I am going to hand you back to Mr. Tovar, and we will resume our lesson afterwards. Did he pause the video? Is he asking any questions? Children, do you need help? I need you to give me a sign that you need help.
Teamwork, Teacher Cat. I will take good care of you.
Hello, children. I hope you're ready to dive right back into the lesson.
I killed Teacher Cat, now you must call me Teacher Cat 2. Anyways, time for the next section. Reagan's economic strategy became known as Reaganomics, and at its core was something called supply-side economics. Often nicknamed the trickle-down theory, this approach focused on cutting taxes for both businesses and individuals, particularly the wealthy, with the idea that these individuals would then invest more in the economy. The theory was that investment would lead to business expansion, which would then create jobs and increase the overall supply of goods and services. Reagan believed this would tackle inflation and help the economy grow, all without increasing the national debt. However, not everyone was convinced. Critics mocked this approach as voodoo economics or referred to it as relying on magic tricks. They pointed out that similar strategies had been tried in the 1920s, when the rich benefited far more than the poor or middle class. While the wealthy did increase their spending during that time, the benefits didn't truly trickle down in a meaningful or widespread way. Now, children, don't try and escape now. You wouldn't want to see my bad side.
FBI, open up! Hello children, I know you are still recovering from being kidnapped, but we need to finish this lesson. I know you guys can get through it. When it came to federal spending, Reagan made it a priority to reduce the size of the federal government and balance the budget. One of the ways he tried to do this was by cutting spending on domestic social programs. Over $40 billion was slashed from things like food stamps, student loans, and public transportation. However, some programs, particularly Social Security and defense spending, were initially off limits for cuts. Ironically, even with these spending cuts, the national debt increased significantly during Reagan's time in office. While Reagan refused to cut popular programs like Medicare and Social Security, he did support a bipartisan bill to strengthen Social Security. He also called for simpler tax laws and tax cuts for around 60% of Americans. But despite all of this, by the end of the 1980s, wealth in the U.S. was more unevenly distributed than it had been at any point since World War II.
Hello children, I am your substitute for today, and I will be going over a section here. Just need to do this and you should be good to go. The Reagan era marked a major turning point in American politics, giving a strong boost to conservative ideals. There was growing momentum behind movements that emphasized traditional social values and a smaller, less intrusive government. A key example of this shift came in 1979 with Proposition 13 in California, which drastically reduced property taxes and ended free college tuition in the state. As the 1980s progressed, conservatives gained more ground in state legislatures across the country, eventually leading to what was called the Republican Revolution of 1994. That year, Republicans took control of the House of Representatives for the first time in 50 years. During this time, social conservatives launched what became known as the culture wars. These battles centered around issues like homosexuality, abortion, immigration, gender roles, and the structure of the family. Many Republicans opposed things like immigration reform and gay rights and worked to overturn Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court decision that had legalized abortion nationwide. Religious conservatives, especially Christian fundamentalists, promoted creationism or intelligent design as alternatives to evolution in schools. They often favored homeschooling or private schooling over sending their children to public schools. Many of these cultural and political debates continue today.
Hello children, I live to see another day, and to help summarize it all for you today. Ronald Reagan's victory in 1980 was a landmark moment that allowed conservatives to begin reshaping American politics and policy. One of the most significant changes was the passage of major tax cuts. Conservatives argued that many liberal social programs weren't working. They believed these programs didn't help fight poverty effectively and actually slowed down economic growth. Still, even as conservatives gained momentum, not all of their goals were fully realized. Some efforts to reduce the size of government ran into resistance, particularly from liberals and the general public. But in the long run, the Reagan era helped popularize conservative views on traditional values and limited government. Meanwhile, debates over social and cultural issues, like those seen in the culture wars, remained a major part of American politics. I hope you children did not get bored out of your minds, and I hope you enjoyed it. Back to Mr. Tovar it goes.